Welcome back. I'm here with Mark Fuhr, the artistic director from the Stratford Summer Music. Mark, thanks for joining me.
Peter, always a great pleasure to see you.
So let's just talk about you for a bit. When you won a Juno, what was that like?
Well, I can tell you something that maybe many people don't know. That is that when you win and you go up on stage and do your little spiel to the audience, they hand you a trophy, and then you turn around and you walk backstage to do a whole PR circuit with a bunch of newspapers and photographers and whatever. But the moment you get off stage, they take the trophy from you. And so there's this kind of little moment where you're super happy that you won this statue, and suddenly somebody's grabbing it from you. And you're, wait, that's just I have that. That's mine. What are you doing? And they actually send it to you in the mail about 8 weeks later with your name on it inscribed and stuff like that.
That's funny.
But that experience, I'd have to say, of course, that was a thrill. That experience of being surrounded by so many great people in the industry, because there was, everybody was there. At those awards shows, everybody shows up, and so to be inside that kind of an energy was pretty big thrill.
Awesome. Now, how did you develop your passion for music?
Well, I think it's in the blood in my family. It's certainly something my mother and father had a liking of. My father was actually, before I was born, my father was actually a well-known singer. He was an Irish tenor. And that was a career that he kind of put to the side when he decided to have a family. My mother was a piano player, still is. And so there was always music happening in the house. So I just assumed growing up that music was everywhere and everybody was musical. Growing up in a town like St. John's, where there's a lot of music everywhere, you just assume music is a regular part of everybody's lives. And I remembered that having an experience when I was a kid, though, when it was revealed to me that that was not the truth. I was at my friend's place after school, and we were playing like Atari 2600 on a TV, and his father came back from work, and he was dead silent. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing. Why is my friend's father dead silent? Because my father, as soon as he walked in the door after work, was always humming or whistling or singing a tune. And I just assumed like all dads were like that. So I said, Scott, man, like, what's wrong with your dad? Is he sick? And my friend Scott was like, what are you talking about? So it of course, years later, you look back at those times as a kid and you laugh. But that's the way it was in my family growing up. Music was everywhere, and we had it as part of our regular diet of life.
And in Stratford, we're lucky to have that same diet. During COVID, no question. Yeah. During COVID, people think, oh, well, there's not much going on, but I know that you guys are working like crazy. So in general terms, tell us what's going on at Stratford Summer Music.
So we do have a season that we will announce pretty shortly, and we're very excited about it. I mean, the challenges are for us the same challenges as for everyone. We don't know from one day to the next sometimes what the news is going to be like vis-a-vis COVID and vis-a-vis restrictions. But we are in full gear right now to announce a season. We have about 40 events that we have planned. Of those 40, almost 30 are outdoor events, which we're very much hopeful will be things we can definitely go ahead with regardless of whatever restrictions are on at that point. We've also moved the season to basically just be occupying space in August now. We will have some other preseason events, but the feeling was for us to push it into August as late as we can in the summer. August traditionally being the month when the number of people visiting Stratford is maximized as well. So we have, like I say, about 40 events in a little over 4 weeks of a footprint in that month, and lots of it is going to be stuff people are familiar with. The infamous Barge series will be back. We'll have events in Market Square. We'll have exposure events for kids, something I think I'm really passionate about, because being a teacher and wanting to have kids and have access to music for young kids. We're putting a bunch of those shows together this summer. We're generally moving forward as if everything's going to happen. But we do realize that indoor events particularly will have restrictions in terms of numbers of bums and seats, right? There's no way around that. I'm hopeful that by the time we reach August that we'll actually be with less restrictions, but we don't know until we know. So we're planning right now with everything at about 25 to 30% capacity in terms of understanding the flow of any given event.
Well, I guess, Mark, in summary, how can the community help support you guys?
Well, I have to say, that's one of the reasons I'm even able to have this conversation with you here today, Peter, is because we've seen a massive outpouring from our individual donor base. Our patrons have been amazing. After the shutdown last year, we were scratching our heads wondering what we could do for the community. I started writing these Friday e-blasts just to kind of stay in touch with people. They, in a few months, they gained steam, and we started to see people really look forward just to the contact. And the e-blasts were really not about raising money as much as it was just for us to stay in touch. And because I love to talk about music, and it was a platform for me to talk about musical things that are of interest to me. And so that was a springboard forward at the start of the COVID lockdown last year. Then we managed to put the series on the boat last year, on the barge, and that was so well received by the community. So again, we've been incredibly lucky with the wellspring of support from our individual patron base. And without them, we probably wouldn't be here having this conversation. So I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, it's very gracious. Thanks very much for joining me, and can't wait till August.
Pleasure, Peter, as always.